Welcome back to my channel, and this is Razim Maurya. Here I am going to teach you about the fraction, which is the new chapter for our today's video. In our last video we have already discussed about integers, and I hope that you have no any doubt or any confusion in the previous chapter. So let's start the new chapter, which is fraction. This chapter is very interesting chapter, and I think that this will be very useful for your further education. So let's see what is the fraction. Okay, so when we take the name of fraction, then the meaning of the fraction is come out that a part from any object. Okay, means the meaning of fraction is a part of an whole object. For this, if suppose that there is any object, suppose that this is a square, and here we can see that this figure is whole. This figure is complete, means it is whole, and if it is whole, then it has only one part, and the one part is the complete part, and therefore this is called whole part. Okay, so this is the whole part, and if we write it, then we can say that this is the one part out of one, that is the one. But if we divide this into a number of equal parts, if we divide any object in a number of equal parts, suppose that here I divided the square into two equal parts, then if we shade one part of this square, then here we can see that one part is shaded and other part is blank. So if I ask how many part, how much the square is shaded, then we say that one part out of two part. One part out of two has shaded here, and then we say that one part out of two. Okay, the meaning of this figure is one part out of two. That means the whole part is 2, and one part out of 2 has shaded, then we write like this. Okay, so this represents one part out of 2 has shaded or taken. Okay, therefore 1 by 2 is called fraction of the whole square. Okay, and here 1 by 2, if here in the figure we can see that we find one part out of 2 has shaded, which means that half part, because here I divided the square into two equal parts. That means this square divided into two halves. So if they divided into two halves, and if I set one half of this square, then 1 by 2 represents half part of the object. Okay, so that we say that 1 by 2, or we read as 1 by 2. We read this fraction as 1 by 2, and the meaning of 1 by 2 is one part out of 2 shaded, or you can say that half of the square is shaded. Okay, so the fraction, if we give the definition of fraction, we say that a fraction is a part of a whole. Okay, a fraction is a part of whole, and the meaning of this is we have taken any part out of the whole object, which means that this is the fraction. When a whole object is cut into a number of equal parts, the fraction is described how many parts of the whole is to be considered. Okay, so here if I divide the square into two equal parts, then here we consider it two part, and we taken one part out of two part, then the fraction is considered as 1 upon 2. Okay, so that we define the fraction, we say that a fraction is a part of a whole. Okay, I hope you get. And here this fraction 1 upon 2 is the fraction, and here the upper part is known as numerator. The upper part is known as numerator, and the lower part is called denominator. Is called denominator of the fraction. Okay, so here we can say that a fraction has two parts. The one part is called numerator and other part is known as denominator. Okay, so that, and the line, this horizontal line represents that the whole part, the whole things has been divided. This part, this horizontal shine represents that the whole is divided into a number of equal parts. Okay, so that we can say that a fraction is the generally represent the distribution, the division of any whole number. Okay, I hope you get the idea of fraction, and the photo or the picture of fraction now created in your mind means what is the fraction. If somebody asks what is the meaning of the fraction, then your answer will be, if we divide a whole into a number of equal parts and we consider any number of part from that, is called its fraction. And here 1 upon 2 is the fraction in which we can see that a whole is divided into two equal parts, in which one part out of two has been taken. Okay, so I think the definition and the idea of the fraction has been clear to all students. Now let us see some various types of fraction. Before starting the types of fraction, let us know about some more new words which are used in the chapter of fraction, and they are being defined with the help of some figure. Okay, so let's see. If we have any types of figure, you can also draw a figure like square, circle, anything as you want. here I draw a rectangle. Okay. So if I divide this rectangle into two equal parts like this, if I divide the square into two equal parts and if one part shaded, then what fraction we get from this figure? Here we can see that one part out of 2 is described. So the fraction will be 1 upon 2. Okay, and here we can see that one part out of 2. Okay, or we can say that half part. Okay, one part out of 2, which is also equivalent to half part of the whole. Okay, and in the next, if we divide this rectangle, if we divide the rectangle into three equal parts, if we divide the rectangle into three equal parts and if we set its one part first, if we shaded its one part, then here we can see that one part out of out of three has described. Okay, one part out of three has described, and here listen me carefully. One part out of three. One part out of three. Keep it in the mind. One part out of three, which means that 1 upon 3. Okay, here we have taken one part out of three parts. Therefore, we write 1 by 3, and here we write one part out of three. Okay. As you still remember that when I divide the rectangle into two equal parts, then I write a one part out of two, and also we give the equivalent name of there, which is the half. But here we cannot write half. Here we write that this part is the 1/3 part of the figure. So here we write it 1/3 part. 1/3 means the fraction 1/3 can also be said that 1/3. Okay, the fraction 1/3 can also be called 1/3 part of the whole. Okay, because here we have taken one part from its three part. Therefore, it is called 1/3 part. And the next, if we shade its two parts, if we shade its two parts, then here we have taken two parts out of three. Therefore, this figure represents that here we have taken two parts out of three. Okay, how many parts we have taken and from how many? So here we have taken two parts out of three. So we write 2 upon 3, or we say it 2 by 3, and here we write 2 parts out of 3. Okay, 2 parts out of 3, and the equivalent name of this fraction will be here when the numerator was 1. Here when the numerator was 1, we write here 1, and when the denominator was 3, then we write here third. In the similar way, when we write the equivalent name of 2 by 3, first we write 2, and here the denominator is 3. We can write as like this, and here we write third. Okay, so that the figure represents 2/3 part has been shaded here. Okay, how much part? Then your answer will be 2/3 part has been shaded in the figure. I hope it is clear. Now let us see some more words. Now just tell me, how many parts can you see in this figure in equal part? How many equal parts can you see in this figure? Here we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we can see that 6 equal parts in this figure, or we can say that a rectangle has been divided into 6 equal parts, and here if we see, we find that 4 parts out of 6 parts has been colored or shaded. Okay, how many parts? 4 parts. From how much? 6. So here we write 4 upon 6, which will be the fraction 4 upon 6, and the meaning is 4 part out of 6. 4 part out of 6. And what will be the equivalent name like these two fractions? Here we can see that the numerator is 4, so here we write 4. Okay, so that here we write, I think you can see. So let me write this on the other side. Here the numerator is 4, so that we write here 4. And the denominator is 6, so we write the ordinal number of this 6 like this, 6. Okay, so that the fraction 4 upon 6 represents 4/6 part has been shaded. Okay, so student, I hope you understood everything clearly from this. These are the introduction. This is only the small introduction about the fraction, and I hope that you get everything clearly. Okay, so please read about this from your book, and I'll come with the new video with new topics. Okay, till then, goodbye.